My husband threw divorce papers at me while I sat in my wheelchair, screaming that I was useless and couldn't even cook for him anymore. What he didn't know was that hidden in my drawer was a letter saying I had just inherited $100 million. But I never told him. I never said a word. Hello, welcome back. Please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Now, let me tell you how it all began. Sarah believed she was living her dream life. Every morning at 5 a.m., she woke up in their small but cozy apartment in Seattle. She would kiss her husband, Marcus, on the forehead while he slept, then head to the kitchen. She made him breakfast, packed his lunch with little notes that said, "I love you," and then rushed to open her small restaurant by 6:30. Sarah's comfort kitchen was everything to her. She served homemade soups, fresh sandwiches, and her famous apple pie that people drove across town to taste. The restaurant wasn't fancy, but it was always full. Customers loved how Sarah remembered their names, asked about their families, and treated everyone like they were sitting in her own home. Marcus would sometimes stop by during lunch. He looked so handsome in his business suits, always on his phone, always busy. Sarah would bring him his favorite meal, and he'd give her a quick smile before rushing back to work. People in the neighborhood thought they were the perfect couple, young, in love, and working hard to build their future. But things weren't as perfect as they seemed. Marcus worked as a sales manager at a tech company, or at least that's what he told everyone. The truth was, he'd been fired 6 months ago. He spent his days at coffee shops, pretending to work, while Sarah ran the restaurant alone. She paid all the bills, covered the rent, and even gave Marcus money for his business lunches. Sarah didn't know any of this. She trusted him completely. One Thursday evening, Sarah came home exhausted. Her feet hurt, her back ached, and all she wanted was to take a hot bath and cuddle with Marcus on the couch. But when she opened the door, the apartment was dark and empty. She checked her phone. No messages. She called Marcus. It went straight to voicemail. Sarah sighed and started preparing dinner anyway. Maybe he was stuck in traffic. Maybe his phone died. She always made excuses for him, always believed the best. At 10 p.m., Marcus finally came home. He smelled like expensive perfume that Sarah didn't recognize. His shirt was wrinkled, and his eyes looked tired but also annoyed. "Where were you?" Sarah asked gently, trying not to sound angry. Marcus threw his jacket on the couch. "Working late. You know how it is. Your phone was off. Battery died." He walked past her, into the bedroom without even looking at the dinner she'd made. Sarah stood in the kitchen, staring at the cold food on the table. Something felt wrong, but she pushed the feeling away. Marriage was about trust, she told herself. She couldn't start doubting him now. The next morning, Sarah woke up early as usual. She made Marcus his favorite pancakes with extra syrup, just the way he liked them. When he came to the kitchen, she smiled brightly. "Good morning, honey. I made your favorite." Marcus barely glanced at the plate. He grabbed his phone and started scrolling. "Marcus, can we talk?" "About what?" He didn't look up. "About us. I feel like we haven't really connected lately. Maybe we could go out this weekend? Just the two of us?" Marcus finally looked at her, but his expression was cold. "Sarah, I'm stressed about work. Can you not pressure me right now?" "I'm not pressuring you. I just miss spending time together." He stood up, leaving his pancakes untouched. "I have to go." "We'll talk later." But they never talked later. This became their new normal. Sarah working herself to exhaustion, Marcus growing more distant, and the space between them getting wider every day. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a rainy Tuesday morning in October. Sarah was driving to the market to buy fresh vegetables for the restaurant. The roads were slippery, and the rain was coming down hard. She was thinking about a new recipe she wanted to try, humming along to the radio, when she saw the red light too late. She slammed on the brakes, but the car kept sliding. The truck was coming from her left. She saw it in slow motion, the driver's terrified face, the rain on the windshield, the sound of her own scream. Then everything went black. When Sarah woke up, the first thing she noticed was the beeping sound. Steady, rhythmic, annoying. Her head felt heavy, like it was filled with cotton. The lights were too bright. Everything hurt, but also felt strangely numb. "Sarah, can you hear me?" A nurse's face appeared above her. Kind eyes, gentle smile. Sarah tried to speak, but her throat was dry. A nurse gave her some water through a straw. "You were in a car accident. You're at Seattle General Hospital. You've been unconscious for 2 days." 2 days? Sarah's mind raced. The restaurant. Her customers. Marcus. "Where's my husband?" Her voice came out as a whisper. "He's in the waiting room." "I'll get him." Sarah tried to move, to sit up, but something was wrong. She couldn't feel her legs. Panic shot through her chest like electricity. "Wait," she called to the nurse. "Why can't I feel my legs?" The nurse's smile faded. "The doctor will explain everything. Let me get your husband first." A few minutes later, Marcus walked in. He looked tired, worried, but when he saw she was awake, something flickered across his face. Relief? Or was it something else? He came to her bedside, but didn't take her hand. "You scared me, Marcus. I can't feel my legs. What's wrong with me?" He looked away. "The doctor said your spine was damaged in the accident. They did surgery, but they're not sure if you'll walk again." The words hit her like another crash. "What do you mean, not sure?" "There's nerve damage. They said it could be permanent." Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. This couldn't be happening. Not to her. She was only 28 years old. She had a restaurant to run, a life to live, a marriage to save. "Marcus, I'm scared." He finally took her hand, but his grip felt loose, uncertain. "It'll be okay. We'll figure it out." But even as he said it, Sarah could see doubt in his eyes. Sarah. The weeks that followed were the hardest of Sarah's life. She went through physical therapy, pushing herself until she cried, but her legs remained useless. The doctors confirmed it was permanent. She would never walk again. Her restaurant had to close. Without her there every day, customers stopped coming. The bills piled up: medical expenses, lost income, rent for both the restaurant and their apartment. Insurance covered some of it, but not nearly enough. Marcus changed completely. He stopped sleeping in their bedroom, claiming her middle-of-the-night pain kept him awake. He spent more time away from home, always with vague excuses about meeting people and looking for opportunities. One night, Sarah lay in bed, listening to Marcus get ready to go out. Again. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Out with some friends. We might have a business opportunity." "Marcus, it's 9 p.m. on a Wednesday." He turned to face her, irritation clear in his voice. "Sarah, I need to get out sometimes. I can't just sit here every night. I'm not asking you to sit here. I'm asking you to be present, to help me through this." "Help you? That's all I've been doing." "You have no idea how hard this is for me." Sarah's voice broke. "Hard for you? I'm the one who can't walk." Marcus grabbed his keys. "I can't do this right now." He slammed the door on his way out, leaving Sarah alone in the dark, crying into her pillow. Sarah's best friend, Jennifer, started visiting more often. Jennifer had been Sarah's friend since college, and she was the only person who kept Sarah's spirits up during these dark times. "You're so strong," Jennifer would say, bringing groceries and helping around the apartment. "I don't know how you do it." Sarah appreciated the help, but sometimes Jennifer's visits felt strange. She would ask too many questions about Marcus, about their finances, about their future plans. One evening, Jennifer was helping Sarah prepare dinner when Marcus came home early. He looked surprised to see Jennifer there. "Oh, hey. Didn't know you were coming over." Jennifer smiled warmly. just keeping Sarah company. She shouldn't be alone so much. Marcus's eyes lingered on Jennifer a bit too long. Sarah noticed, but told herself she was being paranoid. Jennifer was her friend. Marcus was her husband. Nothing was wrong. But everything was wrong. Late one night, about 3 months after the accident, Sarah couldn't sleep. The pain in her back was terrible, and the medication wasn't helping. She heard voices in the hallway outside their apartment. Curious, she wheeled herself quietly to the door and pressed her ear against it. This can't go on forever. That was Jennifer's voice, hushed and urgent. I know. I'm working on it. Marcus sounded frustrated. She's going to find out eventually. What are you going to do? I'll handle it. Just trust me. Marcus, I care about you, but this is getting complicated. I feel guilty every time I visit her. Then stop visiting. It's not like she can go anywhere. They both laughed quietly, and the sound sent ice through Sarah's veins. She wheeled herself away from the door as quietly as possible, her hands shaking so badly she could barely control the wheelchair. She made it back to her bedroom and sat in the darkness, her whole body trembling. Her husband and her best friend, the two people she trusted most in the world. Sarah didn't confront them that night. She was too shocked, too hurt, too confused. Instead, she pretended to be asleep when Marcus came in an hour later, smelling like Jennifer's perfume. The next morning, Sarah acted normal. She made breakfast, smiled at Marcus, thanked Jennifer when she stopped by with coffee. But inside, she was breaking into a million pieces. She started paying attention to things she'd ignored before. The way Marcus's phone was always face down. The way Jennifer touched Marcus's arm when she thought Sarah wasn't looking. The way they both seemed eager to leave whenever they were all together. One afternoon, Sarah decided to check their bank account. They'd always shared everything, but Marcus had been handling the finances since her accident. What she found made her stomach drop. Their savings were almost gone. But that wasn't the worst part. There were charges to expensive restaurants, hotels, jewelry stores. All on days when Marcus said he was looking for work. Sarah printed out the statements with shaking hands. She had proof now, but what was she supposed to do with it? That evening, Marcus came home looking nervous. Sarah, we need to talk. Her heart pounded. About what? He sat down across from her, not meeting her eyes. About us. About our future. What about it? Marcus took a deep breath. This isn't working. You need care that I can't provide. The medical bills are drowning us. I think maybe you should move in with your mom for a while. Sarah felt like she'd been slapped. You want me to leave? It's not like that. I just think you'd be better off with family who can help you. You're my family, Marcus. You're my husband. He finally looked at her, and his eyes were cold. Maybe that was a mistake. The words hung in the air like poison. What are you saying? Marcus stood up. I'm saying I can't do this anymore. I can't be married to someone who needs this much help. I can't watch my whole life disappear because you decided to run a red light. Sarah gasped. I didn't decide to get hit by a truck. It doesn't matter. The result is the same. You're not the woman I married. That woman is gone. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. So what? You're just giving up on me? On us? There is no us anymore, Sarah. There's just you in your wheelchair and endless bills. I deserve a life too. What about for better or worse? What about in sickness and in health? Marcus grabbed his jacket. Those are just words. I'll have my lawyer send you the divorce papers. He walked toward the door, and Sarah felt her whole world collapsing. Is it Jennifer? She asked quietly. Marcus froze. What? Are you leaving me for Jennifer? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. How long? Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. She was my friend. You were my husband. How long have you been betraying me? Marcus turned around, and the look on his face was cruel. Since before your accident. You were always so busy with your stupid restaurant, you never even noticed. The pain of those words was worse than any physical injury. Sarah had loved him with everything she had, worked herself to exhaustion to provide for them, and he'd been cheating on her the whole time. "Get out," she said, her voice shaking with rage and grief. Gladly. Marcus grabbed a bag he'd apparently packed earlier and headed for the door. "You'll regret this," Sarah said, though she didn't know why. Marcus laughed. "The only thing I regret is wasting 5 years on you." He slammed the door behind him, and Sarah sat alone in her wheelchair, crying harder than she ever had in her life. For the next week, Sarah barely moved. She stopped answering her phone, stopped eating, stopped caring. Her mother called repeatedly, but Sarah couldn't bring herself to explain what happened. Jennifer sent text messages pretending nothing had happened, asking if Sarah needed anything. The audacity of it made Sarah sick. Then, on a gray Monday morning, a letter arrived. Sarah almost threw it in the trash with the rest of the mail. Bills she couldn't pay, advertisements she didn't care about. But something made her open this one. The return address said, Morrison, Chun and Associates, Attorneys at Law. Sarah's hands shook as she unfolded the letter. Dear Mrs. Sarah Anderson, we regret to inform you of the passing of your great-aunt, Margaret Chun. As per her last will and testament, you have been named as her primary beneficiary. Please contact our office at your earliest convenience to discuss the details of your inheritance. Sincerely, Robert Morrison, Senior Partner. Sarah stared at the letter. Great-aunt Margaret? She barely remembered her. She was her mother's aunt, a woman Sarah had met maybe twice in her childhood. She'd lived in San Francisco and never married, never had children of her own. Sarah crumpled the letter and threw it across the room. She didn't want some old jewelry or dusty furniture. She wanted her life back. She wanted to walk. She wanted her husband to love her again. But late that night, unable to sleep, Sarah picked up the letter again. What did she have to lose by calling? Maybe there would be enough money to cover some of her medical bills. Maybe she could stop feeling like such a burden on everyone. The next morning, she dialed the number with shaking hands. A professional voice answered. Morrison, Chun and Associates. How may I help you? This is Sarah Anderson. I received a letter about my great-aunt's will. Oh yes, Mrs. Anderson. We've been trying to reach you. Can you come to our office this week? Sarah looked down at her wheelchair. I'm disabled. It's difficult for me to travel. That's not a problem at all. We can arrange a car service for you. Would Thursday at 2 p.m. work? Sarah hesitated. Can you tell me what this is about? I'm not at liberty to discuss the details over the phone, but I can tell you it's significant. Mr. Morrison has been handling your great-aunt's estate, personally. Something in the woman's voice made Sarah curious. Okay, Thursday at 2. After hanging up, Sarah sat in silence. For the first time since Marcus left, she felt something other than despair. It was just a tiny spark, barely there, but it was something. She spent the next 2 days trying to pull herself together. She showered, dressed in actual clothes instead of pajamas, and even put on a little makeup. On Thursday, a black town car arrived exactly at 1:30. The driver helped her into the car with kindness and patience, securing her wheelchair in the back. The law office was downtown, in a tall building with marble floors and expensive art on the walls. Sarah felt out of place in her second-hand clothes and old wheelchair, but the receptionist greeted her warmly. Mrs. Anderson, Mr. Morrison is ready for you. Robert Morrison was a distinguished man in his 60s with kind eyes and a gentle smile. His office overlooked the city, and Sarah couldn't help but wonder how much lawyers like him cost per hour. Mrs. Anderson, thank you for coming. I'm sorry we're meeting under these circumstances. Your great-aunt was a remarkable woman. Sarah nodded politely. I'm sorry, but I barely knew her. She knew of you, though. She followed your life from a distance. She was very proud of you, especially your restaurant. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes at the mention of her restaurant. Her dream that had died with her ability to walk. Mr. Morrison opened a thick file. Your great-aunt Margaret Chun was a very successful businesswoman. She made her fortune in real estate investment. She never married, never had children, and she was very particular about who would inherit her estate. How much are we talking about? Sarah asked, expecting maybe $50,000, maybe $100,000 if she was really lucky. Enough to pay off her medical debts and start over. Mr. Morrison looked at her seriously. Mrs. Anderson, your great-aunt's estate is valued at approximately $100 million. Sarah's world tilted. For a moment, she thought she might faint. I'm sorry, what? $100 million. You are the sole beneficiary. Sarah couldn't breathe. That's not possible. I assure you, it's very possible. However, there are conditions. Of course there were conditions. Sarah's hands gripped the arms of her wheelchair. What conditions? Your great-aunt wanted to protect you. She was aware that sudden wealth can attract the wrong kind of attention. Therefore, the inheritance comes with certain requirements. Mr. Morrison pulled out another document. First, you must keep this inheritance completely secret for 6 months. You may tell no one, not friends, not family, not a future spouse. No one. Sarah nodded slowly. That wouldn't be hard. She barely talked to anyone anymore. Second, you'll receive a monthly allowance during these 6 months to cover your living expenses and reasonable wants. The full inheritance will be released after the 6-month period, assuming you've maintained the secrecy. What happens if I tell someone? The inheritance will be donated to charity, and you'll receive nothing except the monthly allowances you've already spent. Sarah's mind raced. 6 months. She just had to keep a secret for 6 months. Why? Why did she do it this way? Mr. Morrison smiled sadly. Your great-aunt believed that true character is revealed in adversity. She wanted you to see who truly cared about you for you, not for your money. She wrote in her letter to you. He picked up an envelope. Would you like me to read it? Sarah nodded, unable to speak. Mr. Morrison opened the envelope and began to read, Dear Sarah, if you're reading this, I've passed on, and you're learning about your inheritance. I know we didn't know each other well, but I've watched you from afar. You remind me of myself when I was young, strong, hard-working, with a good heart. By now, you've probably faced some hardship. Life has a way of testing us when we least expect it. This inheritance is not just money. It's a test. It's a shield. It's a chance to see who really loves you. Keep the secret. Watch the people around you. See who stays when you have nothing to offer. See who helps without expecting anything in return. Those are your real family. After 6 months, the money is yours to do with as you please. But by then, you'll have learned something more valuable than wealth. You'll have learned who you can trust. Use this gift wisely. Help others the way I'm helping you. Be the change in someone else's life. With love, Aunt Margaret. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. This woman she barely known had left her everything, and had done it in a way that would teach her the most important lesson of all. Mr. Morrison handed her a tissue. Do you accept the terms? Sarah wiped her eyes and looked at him. Yes, I accept. Excellent. We'll set up your monthly allowance starting immediately. It will be $20,000 per month, deposited into a new account we'll create for you. That should cover your rent, medical expenses, and allow you to live comfortably. $20,000 a month. Sarah had never seen that much money in her entire life, and it was just the allowance. What do I tell people? About where the money comes from? That's up to you, but I'd suggest something simple. A distant relative left you a small amount. Most people won't ask too many questions. Sarah signed the papers with shaking hands. When it was done, Mr. Morrison shook her hand warmly. Your great-aunt chose well. I have a feeling you're going to do great things with this gift. In the car ride home, Sarah's mind wouldn't stop spinning. $100 million. It was more money than she'd ever dreamed of. She could pay off all her medical bills. She could get the best physical therapy. She could reopen her restaurant. She could do anything, but she couldn't tell anyone. Sarah got home to her small apartment and looked around with new eyes. Everything was the same: the worn furniture, the medical equipment, the photos of her and Marcus that she'd turned face down. But everything was also completely different. That night, she lay in bed thinking about Marcus. He'd left her because she was too expensive, too broken, too much work. He'd taken everything from her: her confidence, her trust, her belief in love. But he didn't know what she now had. He didn't know she could afford the best lawyers, the best doctors, the best everything. The thought should have made her happy. Instead, Sarah felt nothing but sadness. Her phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. "Hey girl, I've been worried about you. Can I come by tomorrow? We need to talk." Sarah stared at the message. Jennifer, her former best friend. Jennifer, who was probably sleeping in Sarah's bed with Sarah's husband. Jennifer, who had no idea that Sarah was now worth more than she could ever imagine. Sarah's finger hovered over the reply button. She could tell Jennifer to never contact her again. She could expose her and Marcus for what they really were. But Aunt Margaret's words echoed in her mind. "Watch the people around you. See who stays when you have nothing to offer." Sarah typed back, "Sure, tomorrow at 3. She had 6 months to see who these people really were. 6 months to watch them show their true colors. And Sarah had a feeling that the show was just about to begin.